Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. There was a lot of good in the game for LSU on Saturday night. We will talk about Whit Weeks. We will talk about Braden Swenson. Both of them were honored by the SEC today. Whit Weeks, for his 18-tackle performance, was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Braden Swenson added 2 sacks. He was the Defensive Lineman of the Week in the SEC. The pass protection was exemplary all night long against a relentless pass rush. That was fantastic to see. Trey'Dez Green with a touchdown. Aaron Anderson with a big play. Mason Taylor coming up huge late. There was a lot of good. Zy Alexander, we mentioned. LSU safeties were very good as well. There's a lot of good. But here's the deal. This LSU team is going to be in Garrett Nussmeier's hands far more often than not. That's just the reality of the situation. And after the game, Brian Kelly talked about Garrett's performance on Saturday night.
Garrett would tell you that, there were things that he learned. I thought he grew more today than at any time that he's been here. That was a growth game for him. And you may see it differently. But as a coach, the growth that he was able to exhibit through that game and at the end is going to serve him well.
Here's the deal. Garrett Nussmeier said after the game it was the worst game of his career. I'll say that up front, is what he said. That was his quote. And statistically, you can back that up. I mean, he completed 43% of his throws. He was 22 of 51. He turned it over twice, and one of them was absolutely heinous in a huge spot in the game when LSU had made a defensive play. Zy picks the ball off in the end zone. It's time to go back down there, take the lead, and take control of the game. And Nussmeier throws a pop-up down the left sideline that is basically caught like a punt by the Ole Miss secondary. It was awful. So if you take all of that, 43%, starting 3 of 11, 2 interceptions, one of them was terrible, the other one set Ole Miss up at the 13-yard line, all that's bad, sure, no question. But if you really want to talk in nuance about Garrett Nussmeier's performance on Saturday, in the big picture, I thought it was sensational because you have to take everything into account. LSU's running game did not do very well. Caden Durham never got loose. He averaged 3 yards a carry on his 12 carries. He had one play down the sideline that he busted, but it got called back for holding. Josh Williams was okay. And then Caleb Jackson came in for the 1 4th down and got blown up in the backfield. But LSU's running backs, Durham and Williams, accounted for 71 yards, and then you take Jackson's 3 away. So you're looking at 68 yards on 22 carries. That's just not a successful running game. And Ole Miss at that point, especially with the lead, can pin their ears back and try to rush the passer. And you're talking about Princely Umanmielen, you're talking about Jared Ivey, you're talking about Walter Nolan, you're talking about J.J. Pegues, you're talking about Sontaran Perkins. Like, these guys are NFL pass rushers. They will cash checks at the next level for getting after the quarterback. And they're all coming. And oh, by the way, if you were watching the game on Saturday, did you see a ton of separation by LSU's wide receivers? LSU was working in tight windows. I mean, as I mentioned, those first 3 drives LSU had where Nussmeier starts 3 of 11, like, they're not open. He's making throws and balls are getting knocked down. But Nussmeier never quit. He never flinched. He got the ball out quickly, even if he was under pressure. He never got sacked. Credit to the offensive line, credit to Nussmeier, both there. And when LSU needed big throws, he made them. I mean, the 2 4th down throws on the last drive were sensational. LSU's facing a 4th down, game's on the line, and Nussmeier on the first one to Mason Taylor on that one that was just past the sticks on the left side of the formation, he moved a little bit to his left, and that was not an open throw. Taylor was not covered, but there was a man on him. And the ball had to be put out in front of Taylor, and it had to be put right on the face mask, and Garrett Nussmeier zipped it in there on the money. And then you get to 4th and 6 after you ran the ball on 3rd down with 33 seconds to go in the game, and you've got to have it. And I know that Garrett Nussmeier threw it in rhythm, and I know that if you were watching that game on television, that it looked like, because of where Nussmeier threw it, where Anderson caught it at the 1 yard line, and how he fell into the end zone, it looked like a great throw and an open receiver. Go back and look at Wilson Alexander's Twitter or go back and watch the End Zone Cut on YouTube. When Garrett Nussmeier releases this football, Aaron Anderson is almost not even visible to him because the defender is literally in line between Garrett Nussmeier and Aaron Anderson. Anderson has not crossed his face to come open. And with the game on the line, incomplete, you're done. Season goals about over. You got 2 losses, one to a team you think you're competing with for a playoff spot. You need 5-6 yards, and you chuck it to the end zone for 20. And I mean on the freaking money to a guy that wasn't even open when he made the throw. That is an NFL throw. NFL throw. When you absolutely had to have it. And now you start to think about some of these games. You fall behind 17-0 at South Carolina. You were down to Wisconsin in the bowl game last year. You had to go 75 yards on Ole Miss. And Garrett Nussmeier has delivered and delivered and delivered. No, not necessarily against USC. That was a little bit more on the defense allowing those 2 drives. But in 3 of 4 instances where you had to have it late in games from your quarterback, he has delivered. Think about the throw he made to Lacey to get LSU down in there into touchdown range at South Carolina. Great throw. And then incredible throws to Mason Taylor and Aaron Anderson. And here's the deal with Nussmeier. Like, I don't believe, Brian Kelly talked about this today. We got to get better running the ball. And I believe that. And I think they probably will get a little bit better running the ball. But they're not going to be a dynamic running team. They're just not. They're better at pass blocking. Read my Pro Football Focus grade story up on LouisianaSports.net, and you'll see, like, the offensive lineman pass block grade, incredible. They had 59 dropbacks against that pass rush and didn't give up a sack. That's incredible, y'all. Incredible. But they don't run it great, and they're not going to, I don't think. And LSU's defense is improving, and they got some good players, and I think they'll give LSU a chance, but they're not going to dominate. Sure, they might smother Oklahoma here. Maybe they can put a muzzle on Vanderbilt in that running attack. It's possible. I'm not saying they will or won't. It's possible. What's not going to happen is they all of a sudden look like Georgia from 2 years ago. So what I'm getting at here is they're not going to run it great. They're not going to be a dominant defense. That means that the difference in winning and losing in these tiny margins that the SEC has become this year. I just talked about that in the last segment. These margins are so small in every game. Bama to Vanderbilt. Tennessee and Arkansas. LSU and South Carolina. LSU and Ole Miss. Ole Miss and Kentucky. Tennessee and Florida. Like, these are really tight football games. And the difference in winning and losing, I think, moving forward, is largely going to rest on 13. You need him to be awesome. And he already has proven he can make the highlight reel play. He can make the pro throw, the anticipatory throw, the deep ball, the arm strength. He can do all that. What's got to happen is you got to quit with these turnovers. You had one interception wiped off because of the horse collar at South Carolina. You had a potentially game-losing interception return for a touchdown come back for the unnecessary roughness on Kennard when he hit Nussmeier at South Carolina. And you had 2 very, very, very untimely turnovers on Saturday night. I get it, one's a tipped ball. That's not always controllable. But that interception he threw after the Alexander interception was terrible. And you can't have that. But he threw for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns on what might be the best defense LSU plays this year. I'll listen to Oklahoma. I'll listen to Alabama. I'll listen to Texas A&M, maybe even Arkansas based on what they did to Tennessee, but Florida held Tennessee down for 3 quarters. But Ole Miss might be the best defense you play. And he threw for 337 and 3 touchdowns in a huge, huge, huge game. LSU's got a good quarterback. I know there were a ton of y'all that were all over him on Saturday night. I get it. My Twitter was flooded. And maybe you still feel that way. Maybe you don't based on the last few throws that he made. But you look at this guy and the throws that he's made and what he's being asked to do with a mediocre at best running game, some wide receivers that are struggling to get separation, good SEC defenses, and a defense that's not going to hold teams, generally speaking, to 14 or 17 points. He's doing a lot, and I think he's doing a great job. And I thought his demeanor and his mindset after the game, where he said, look, that's the worst I've played, and I got to play better than that, that kind of gives you a glimpse into the kind of guy that he is. And he rose in the biggest moments. And I'll tell you this as we close here on Nussmeier. Like, he didn't do much reading the defense on that first play of overtime. I think when they broke the huddle, whatever, on the sideline and decided what they had, he was going to Lacey. And he snapped it, and he hit that pump fake, and then he just threw it up one-on-one. And that's a picture that is going to be hanging in Baton Rouge restaurants for years to come, because the Ole Miss corner ends up on his head, literally, and Kyron's just standing there as the crowd erupts to win the game. It was an incredible picture inside Tiger Stadium. It was an incredible night, and I thought it was an incredible performance and a gutty performance by the starting quarterback. Statistically, there were some issues, but when LSU had to have it, Garrett Nussmeier showed up with it. I thought it was awesome to see on Saturday night. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.